Join Michael Voris this April as he goes down under to Australia for the Charity with Clarity Tour. Michael will be speaking in Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Canberra, and Wagga Wagga. For all the details, just go to the link.
Looks like the Affordable Care Act isn't so affordable, according to a leading economist. If you are a Catholic employer bowing to the contraception mandate, you may be spending some time in the confessional. And dreams of a Roman Catholic in the White House are now only a memory. Those stories and more just ahead on Catholic News Roundup.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium. CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Catholic candidate drops out. Rick Santorum is suspending his campaign in the GOP presidential nomination race, citing concerns over his daughter's health after she spent Good Friday in the hospital as a result of her rare genetic disorder. The announcement was made yesterday afternoon at the Gettysburg Hotel in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Santorum's withdrawal from the political arena has drawn fire from the mainstream media already, as the New York Times says he never had a chance, while the Washington Post claims that he would have established a religious tyranny as president. Obamacare in the red. Obama is denying claims by a leading economist that his signature health care law will add hundreds of billions of dollars to the national deficit. According to the White House administration's official word, the Affordable Care Act will reduce government spending, a premise being challenged by the public trustee overseeing Medicare and Social Security finances, Charles Blahouse. Blahouse is pointing to a study released this week that federal accounting practices are masking the true fiscal impact Obamacare will have on our country, and that the law will, in fact, add $340 billion to the national deficit. Obama's denial of the newly released information is also inconsistent with the prediction of the majority of health insurers, of whom 40% say the contraception mandate included in Obamacare will cause monthly insurance costs to rise, though through higher pharmacy expenditures. Mandating sin. Under pain of sin, there is no excuse for any Catholic employer to give in to Obamacare's mandate to make contraception available to employees in their companies. The prefect of the highest court of canon law in the Catholic Church, Cardinal Raymond Burke, told an organization called Catholic Action for Faith and Family that there is no way to justify it. In particular, the cardinal explains, quote, "It is not only a matter of what we call material cooperation in the sense that the employer, by giving his insurance benefit, is materially providing for the contraception, but it is also formal cooperation because he is knowingly and deliberately doing this," end quote. Meanwhile, Archbishop Charles Chaput of Philadelphia likens the Obama administration's efforts to force contraception coverage and abortion into healthcare plans across America to communism, saying the state is making itself into a church. You can read the full remarks of Burke and Chaput on our resource page by clicking on the link right outside the screen. Laotian Catholics persecuted. The communist government in Laos has confiscated a chapel, forcing hundreds of Catholics to celebrate this Easter season in the open air and without a priest. After closing the chapel in February, armed soldiers watched as hundreds of faithful sang hymns, recited the rosary, and read the Gospel of Easter in front of Keng Wang Parish's chapel on the border of Thailand. The faithful were forced to celebrate Palm Sunday in similar fashion after government officials condemned the chapel to be torn down last month, having planned to erect a school in its place. Local nuns report priests are forbidden to provide the sacraments to faithful Catholics in the area. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
Arab Spring chills democracy. A court in Egypt is suspending a panel created to write Egypt's constitution after Parliament tried to give over half the panel's seats to Islamist lawmakers. You may remember Egypt is suffering the growing pains of building its new government after overthrowing President Mubarak and creating a parliament in the country that has a Muslim majority, giving influential positions to members of the Muslim Brotherhood. This latest court ruling is in response to the boycott of the panel by the small number of Coptic Catholics appointed to serve on it, as well as the complaints of politicians and legal experts. After Islamist lawmakers ended up with 60 seats on the panel, legal experts came forward to cry foul, citing a constitutional declaration legalized by referendum last year. Blasphemous Bar. The owner of a bar named to mock the Queen of the Holy Rosary and God himself says people should just lighten up as Catholics protest the sacrilegious hate speech of his establishment. The bar in Fells Point, Maryland, called Ale Mary, serves beer in real chalices to its patrons, while a monstrance sits on the bar and holy water fonts act as candy dishes, among other blasphemous decorations. One of the owners says he thinks what he is doing is cool, revealing that the patrons are the ones bringing him sacred articles for use in serving alcohol to what members call the Chalice Club. An email exchange on the blog Fish Eaters between the owner and an outraged Catholic reveals that while the owner is okay with mocking the Catholic faith, he refuses to do the same to Muslims or Jews. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure and tune in tomorrow as well for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. Also be sure to check out The Vortex, where Michael talks about how Catholics are born for combat, but you can't fight for a cause you are not in love with. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tell all your friends about us. And as always, God bless you.
Become a RealCatholicTV.com premium member. It's all the news that isn't fit to print.